At the outset, my pranams to all of you and seek an apology from all of you because I rarely go to any program late. As a teacher, I'll never go late. But at a session for 600 PUC college lecturers in Basil APS College, the PUC was organized. So I had a lecture from 10:30 to 2:15. I thought 45 minutes should be good enough to reach this place. I completely underestimated it. I started at 2:15 from APS College in Basil and reached now. And this GPS studying me, he drove me up and down the road 3 times. Introduced with a regular biodata, he turned towards me and said, Dr. Karjagi, this is the 100th time I'm hearing my obituary. 100th time I'm hearing my obituary. But all that happens is not important to me. What makes a difference is what I do now rather than what I did before. There's nothing to talk about the past glory. We survive by the present performance rather than the past glory. I believe in that. And especially during pandemic times, the teacher's job has become more difficult and challenging. But at the outset, I should say my salutation to all the teachers of India. All the teachers of India are exceptional work. Believe me, 2009 January, nobody had even heard the name of Zoom. Am I right? 2009 January, nobody had even heard Zoom. But come April, all of them are taking online classes. They knew what is mute and what is unmuted, then the video off and video on. I tell you, my hats off to them. Even if Prime Minister had pushed technology down the throat of all of us, it would not have gone so quickly as Corona made it possible. Corona made it possible. We all learn techniques. I tell you, I have been traveling a lot. With the pandemic or without pandemic, I have been traveling. In fact, as you mentioned about Shimla Institute, I came only yesterday from Shimla. Every 3 months I am destined to go there because I am one of the board of governors for that institute. You should see that program. I would request you. There are such beautiful scholarships available there. And very few South Indians make use of it. In fact, yesterday only I recommended a professor for fellowship there. You can go to the internet and please see Indian Institute of Advanced Study, Shimla. The building is masterpiece. There was called Rashtrapati Niwas, where the former viceroys and prime minister presidents of India stayed there. Every stone, if you are a history teacher, you must visit that. Every stone of the building talks of Indian history. And there is one room, big hall, beautifully furnished, but nobody is allowed to sit on any furniture there. They have put a plate there and pick pictures also. This is where Gandhi was sitting on this chair. Patel was sitting on this chair. Nehru here. Adekhandi here. Jinnah here. They are positioned and kept like that. This is the place where the chariot came. And even when you say Bhutto and Indira Gandhi Accord or Shimla Accord was done on the lawns of that building. It is a 142-year-old building, mesmerizingly beautiful. Only God's blessing that I am the director of that institute. And I see that remarkable work goes on. Some of you would like to take small projects of 2 months and 3 months. You can look into that and please send it to me. I will forward it and see that we get it. Go there, stay for 3 months and interact with the scholars from all over the world. When you rub shoulders with others in the world, you understand where we are. And you benchmark ourselves. It's a beautiful opportunity. This pandemic, I tell you, so much I have been traveling. I have been to a place called Aura. It's the last taluk of Bidar district. It is a border between Maharashtra and Karnataka. It is supposed to be the most backward taluk of Karnataka. I went there, I saw a young lady preparing her classes for online classes, preparing online classes. I can tell you, hats off. If there is some prize for a good teacher, I will give it to her. It's a dilapidated structure. Schools have no proper building. The first floor roof is cast, but the walls are not there. A lot of bricks and all things are there. This young girl has a blackboard on the wall. For 10 feet away from the board, she herself carried the bricks from neighboring areas and made a column. And kept one more brick on the backside and kept her mobile there, inclined towards it. And she has marked with the chalk piece on the ground Because if she goes beyond that, the mobile camera will not catch it. She did a lot of rehearsals there. And then kept the mobile there, put in on position, run to the board and teach the entire class. Record it and send it to the students. I think my heart went to her. She is no less than a Newton or a Galileo. Alright? And I was wondering why she did all that. Young lady, I spent a lot of time with her. Why did you do that? He said, sir, I can't see these children missing their classes. I tell you, this is the heart of teaching. If you love your students, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And you're wondering, how do we reach out to students during pandemic? Pandemic or otherwise. What drives a passionate teacher is the love for the student. If you have love for the students, you can do amazing things. Amazing things. I'm in charge of about 850 schools in Karnataka. The so-called Morarji Desai schools, Atal Bihari Vajpayee schools. The 850 residential schools, I'm the advisor to the government on that. I'm wondering how to reach out to these children. I made a survey. Can you believe, my friends? We are living in India. Sometimes my heart bleeds what man has done to another man. These children are in villages, they don't have mobile. There's only one mobile with the father. When father goes to work, there is no mobile. There is no television. Even if there is one hanging there, no power for it. How will the children learn? And government thought of Vidyagama, teachers going to that place and teaching. And problem with my schools is they are residential schools. The children are from different places. In the local school, I can understand children are in the village, I can ask them to come. They are from different talukas, they are coming to the school. How do I catch them? One day I had an online class for all the teachers and said, how do you reach out to these children? Imagine your child is in that position, what would you do? I tell you, they came up with such beautiful solutions. We call what is called as teaching kids, learning kids. How to reach out to those children? Thank God, post was working. We prepared the lessons for three lessons together, worksheets and all that, and they may not have paper to write. So we put about 20-25 sheets of white paper there, added a pen, pencil and eraser, all that, and put in a cover and send it to them by post. And they will write the answers and send it back by post. And the moment their dad comes to send the next one. We kept in touch with this. What I am trying to say is, there is no limitation to human potential. I always say, you can do wonderful things, but what stops us from doing great things is our own limitations. Upanishad says beautifully. People say, I can't do it. It's not possible to do it. These are not the limitations given by somebody else. These are limitations created by myself. I feel I can't do it. But sometimes I wonder, in fact, Mark Twain, the great British humorist, I'm sure you would have heard about it, great humorist, once asked a question, who is the fastest runner in the world? Who is the fastest runner? And people said, anyone who gets gold medal for 100-meter race in Olympics. Olympic 100-meter race champion is the fastest runner in the world. He said, no, he is not the fastest runner. The one whom a mad dog is chasing is the fastest runner. Because he is running for a trophy, but his man is running for life. I was thinking of this Mark Twain statement. If I think some child, I may or may not make effort. If it is my child, I'll make all the effort. Therefore, I have a small statement when people blame me. People say that you are blackmailing us. Blackmail or whitemail, I do that. I always tell them, if you can think of that child in your classroom as your own child, your children will be very happy. A very peculiar logic. It may not look logical, but it is my logic. I always say, if you treat the child in your classroom as your own child, your children will be very happy. The blessings of all those parents will help your children. But if you don't do that very honestly here, it may hurt you. The reason is that when you put your children to some schools, did you not pray that my child should get a best teacher, motivating teacher, concerned and caring teacher? Similarly, every child sitting in your classroom, their parents have also prayed the same prayer. They have the same prayer. They wanted a good affectionate teacher. Therefore, my friends, this is not the occasion to make a long sermon. But I have only one desire. love your students intensely. Pandemic does not bother. To tell you honestly. Pandemic is there to take care of masks and all that. All that we do. But we have love for the students. We can do 100 things to get over that and do something to them. And now we have got a bigger challenge. From the pandemic is going away, giving an indication of going away. Somebody asked me, post-pandemic. I said, don't use the word. It is only pre-pandemic. We are going to live with Corona. It is not the thing called as post-Corona era. Corona is going to live with us. This year and last year I could not travel out to take my lectures. I give series of lectures in different universities in US every year. This year I could not go. One girl asked me a good question. Sir, what will be Corona 6 years from now? I said, do you get headache? He said, yes. What do you do? I take a tablets, painkiller. Same thing will happen to Corona. Because I know as a science student, I know virus undergoes mutation and mutation continuously, and after some time it gets used to it. Remember, influenza was a massive killer earlier. Typhoid was a massive killer. Yellow fever killed lakhs of people earlier. Plague killed plenty of them. And now we have got vaccination done for children immediately after they are born. Immunization has happened, and now you get a flu. You take a tablet and that's all. Same thing will happen to Corona. Now the question now is schools are reopening. That's my concern. Now the schools are open for 9th and 10th and 6th to 8th. But some people say, still parents are not keen on sending. Attendance is 50% or 60%. What do we do? Some schools have not started it, saying that anyway parents won't send. I said, please don't do that. Don't do that. Even if 20% students come, please open the schools. Because I tell you, there are three kinds of parents. One is chivalrous, heroic parents. The day opens, 10 mentions, no problem, I'll send it. That heroic parent, they will send it, 50% of them. The remaining are sitting on the wall. Let us wait for a week and see. When the children go and come back, let us see. There are large 60% people are there. And after 1 week, they will send them. There are die-hard Corona influenced people. They are there. They are 20% people. They say, wait for some time. Let the Corona come to zero. Actually, what will happen at that time? The children will chase the parents and then come. Because they hear lovely stories about other students coming back and telling what happened in the school, how they enjoyed game and all that, they will finally chase their parents and come. So therefore, for the sake of 20 parents, you don't have to stop. Please do. Because education is not about giving information and certificates. It's not about that. The biggest part of education at this school level is socialization. Children are missing that. And have you observed children have become obese? Because the parents have pampered them. All children have taken the right to eat more and no exercise at all. They have become bulky. And secondly, one more thing is this. Though they say we happily come to school with the heart of heart, they don't want to come to school. Nice thing, no uniform, no getting into bus, stand in the line, go to the class properly. Now they are happy at home, eating 5 times a day, and that 3 hours classes we had, if they don't like it, they switch off and they can do all that. It was in their control now. Now it is a lack of control. It's typically called as mother-in-law syndrome. When the son gets married, normally mother-in-laws are insecure. Very insecure. Why? This fellow, 27 years was running behind me, asking for every small thing. Mom, can I do that? Can I do that? No, he's not asking me. Going behind this girl, suddenly loss of position. Now children had a lot of power in their hand. They could control what they wanted to do now. Suddenly when they come to school, they lose their power. Many, though they say, but once they come and play with everybody, the learning happens. My friends, please believe me, the amount of learning that happens in the classroom is small. What happens in the corridors, in the playground is much more. They learn more. Therefore, we have cut off that part. No socialization for children. They learn from each other so well. Now you have got a big responsibility when the school reopens. Give them an assurance, give them confidence, but also tell them not to be reckless, to be careful about things. They can't take for granted. Because, especially the media, I'm scared of the media. I'm really scared of the media. In fact, there are a few channels, news channels in Canada. I know all of them very well. I tell them, you are the first rate terrorist in the country. The terrorist in the boundary I do not know, but you are surely the terrorist. The way they picturize that, and the virus goes on spinning around and comes to, it looks as though it's standing outside your door. The moment your door comes in, that kind of fear they have created in the mind of people. One incident, 0.8%. Today, when you 223 people affected. 1.3 crore people. 223. And out of they announced later on, 480 were released from the hospital today. Later on. I said, these exaggerated versions also destroy our confidence. But take care, take precautions, sanitize the place and all that, but give confidence to children. The most important now. Push them into the playgrounds. Let them learn to work together. The greatest tragedy that happens in a country is when individual becomes more important than collective wisdom. This pandemic has done one wrong. The terrible thing to us is whole life has become individual now. Child feels I, myself, mine. And the whole family is worried about that one child in the house. She becomes the queen or becomes the king of the house. Alright? He gets every preference. Slowly and slowly he becomes I-centered universe. I-centered universe. But in the school when he plays with others, it becomes we-centered universe. There will be fight, there will be quarrels, the children cry, man, he is not giving it to me. Because she was getting everything for last one, not a small time. 1.5 years is a pretty long time. They are out of the schools. Therefore, make them work together. And I know you are all wonderful teachers. You do activity-oriented classrooms. Don't think of only synchronizing. Now make them do work together. As much as possible, collaborative experimental training, collaborative activities, so that this I factor gets little reduced and we becomes more important. And secondly, I have one request and maybe we'll stop. Because I have no intention to keep it for long. First of all, I'm pity of coming late. 3 things have to be done. I always wonder, why should children come to schools? Why should they get educated? When you write a lesson plan, write objectives. At the end of the class, the child should be able to 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Have you written what should child do at the end of 10th standard or 12th standard or degree? What should child be able to do? Have you written objective for education? What should child do at the end of the education? He starts at LKG and completes at a degree or whatever degree he completes. What is that we expect the child to know or expect to do? If you have a maid servant in the house, tell her don't come from tomorrow. Will she be scared? She said, leave it, I get another 4 houses. You will be scared of losing her. Is it not right? If she threatens of leaving, you will cajole her and say, I'll give you more money or I'll stay back. She has no job insecurity for her. The plumber who comes to your house is not afraid of losing job. You have to go and beg him on Sunday morning, come and repair the tap is leaking. You have to beg him. Your electrician is not scared of losing jobs. Your mason is not afraid of losing jobs. But our postgraduates are moderately scared of losing jobs. I am worried about it. In the year 2009, it happened to me. I went to Los Angeles. I was in Los Angeles in the US. Somebody said, we go to somebody's house. We went to the house and all the way asked, why are you going? He said, the young man has committed suicide. To sympathize with the family, go there. I went to the house. It's a huge palatial bungalow. Only 4 people in the house. The boy is from Tamil Nadu. I tell his background. He did his BTech from IIT Madras, MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. These are the best degrees we flash around in the world. Right? Best degree you can think of in India. He joined a wonderful company in US, grew well, and in 2009 when I went there, his salary was about Indian equivalence of about 4 crores a year. Not bad. 4 crores a year, not bad. And lived in a beautiful house, and family only 4 members, he, his wife, a daughter of 10 years and son of 6 years. This man had handed himself to death. I asked the wife, what happened? He was very something. He said, I don't know, sir. 2008, America entered into recession time. Recession was there. His friend, who also joined the same company along with him, lost his job. Maybe this man thought the next axe will fall on my head. He committed suicide. It may be very rare, the rarest of the rare examples, I agree. But I then felt that my education system failed. If your BTech and MBA does not give you confidence of getting another job, it is not worth it. It is not worth it. Therefore, I was wondering, what should we give our students to carry it? I always talk about, if you are going for a trip elsewhere, imagine you are planning for 15 days tour, how do you pack your suitcase? What goes into the suitcase? Decided by what? Where are you going? Supposing you are going to Himachal Pradesh, snowfall is very high, heavy there. You wear warm dresses, warm clothes, scarves, thermals, shoes, socks, gloves. You take very much care of keeping yourself warm. But if you are going to Jaipur in July, it could be about 50 degrees Celsius there, you don't carry warm clothing. You get light t-shirts and cotton dress and chappals are enough. Is it not right? So therefore, what goes in the suitcase is decided by where are we going. Can I apply this logic to education? How do I pack my students' suitcase? I don't know where are they going. You understand what I am saying? Today the field is so diversified, the fellow studies something and does something else. He is a BE engineering grad. I have two samples at home. Two sons of mine, both are in 90. What he studied in college is nothing to do with, he is a senior officer in Google. What he does there is totally different from what he studied. Therefore, I learned where are they going, how do I pack their suitcase. I am always worried about the suitcase. I got a solution to it now. Very interesting. About 2 years ago, I was going from London to Paris. There is a lovely train which goes under the sea. A lovely train directly from London to Paris. Oh, wonderful, sea over you. And then I boarded the train in London, my wife was with me. Suddenly, 10 minutes later, 10-15 young men and women came running into the cabin compartment. They were all wearing bermudas and t-shirts and haversack backpacks they were carrying, giggling and laughing. They came and sat there. I made friendship very fast. One young lady sitting there, I said, where are you going? Did they ask you what question? You are in train, I asked, where are you going? He said, where are you going? I don't know. Hey, where are you going? He was shocked to me. You are in the train and the train is going. She is asking the leader, where are we going? He said, Paris. Oh, Paris. Back I go to Paris. I asked, did you not know where are you going? He said, doesn't matter. We are a gang of 15 people. Once in a year we take off and we have decided to go to London station, get into the first train that comes and go to the last destination. Since we are going to see the country, name does not matter. And we spend 10-15 days there and come back and write our journals and publish articles. I said, very good. Then my question, suitcase doesn't leave me. If you don't know where are you going, how do you pack your suitcase? He said, very simple, sir. We carry warm clothing also and light t-shirts. Carry both. If it is cold, we wear this. If it is hot, we wear this. That's okay. It suddenly became a beautiful thing for me. I should pack my students' suitcase like that. If they have to be successful in life, what should I pack with? I got a formula. If these three things are done, children's suitcase is proper. We do that. First is, give them, first of all, they know themselves. They should learn to appreciate themselves. First one. That's what, in fact, you go to the Greece, you go Temple of Delphi. The famous Temple of Delphi where Socrates used to meet every Sunday there along with his team. There is one triangular piece which says, know thyself. The greatest message of the Temple of Delphi is, know thyself. I know everything in the world, but I don't know myself. If you can tell the children, who are you? You are not designed to. I may live for a short time. I may live for a specific time. None of us are designed to live for 200, 500 years. I may live for 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever God ordains. But we can do so much work that can be remembered for the generations to come. That is the potential that we have. If you can appreciate yourself and see that you are an instrument of society, you are an instrument society can do work, give them self-esteem. That's the first one. You should not say, sir, I can't do it, sir. I am not capable of doing it, sir. The education is not good. Give him confidence and see that, yes, I am an instrument, I can do something outside. Second is about love for the land that he is in. He is studying here in this place. You should have appreciation of the land and the language of the land. You should appreciate that. And third is, you should be patriotic. You should be proud of his country. If I can put the pride of the country in the heart of the child, I have done remarkably well. Unfortunately, we don't do it. We teach so much. We teach about so many things in the world. I teach about the climate in Mexico, the amount of rain in Australia, but I do not know what is happening around me. Teach that. Sometimes, people say geography and history are boring, but I love those subjects. Really love. And it has taught me so much. When I was in the school, I had an excellent geography teacher who taught me about oceans. And suddenly there is something called as Dead Sea. I stood up and asked him, sir, animals die, plants die, birds die, sea also dies. Poor man, honest man. I don't know. I have not gone there, but the book says it is Dead Sea. Everything is dead there. That was actually worrying me. How can you see that? When I went to Israel, I went to that place. I went to see the Dead Sea. Believe me, it is really dead. Even 25-30 kilometers before you reach the Dead Sea, it is haunting. Not even birds fly over there. And all land is full of white cement-like thing. Not even grass grown there. Actually, it is not a sea at all. It is a big lake. But it is so big, it is 822 square kilometers. It is called as Dead Sea. Not even single fish in that. And you can stretch your leg and sleep on the water. You will not sink. The density is very high, 37% salt, but what happens to your skin is different. Not even single fish in water. I went up to the same country, 75 kilometers up. There is another sea. It is also a lake called a sea. It is called Sea of Galilee. Those of you who have read Bible will know, Sea of Galilee has a prime place in Bible. Jesus Christ carried out all his miracles on that, and he walked on Sea of Galilee and gave food for 5,000 people there. It's a part of Bible stories. That is magnificent. Thousands of types of fishes, flora, fauna is extraordinary. It is living. I wondered, why is the Sea of Galilee alive and Dead Sea is dead? Considering the fact that only one river supplies water to both. That is interesting. Suppose if you get Kaveri water connection, one pipe goes to your house and the neighbor's house. He gets sweet water and you get salt water. It cannot happen. There is a river called Jordan. The country is also Jordan. It starts from there. The Jordan River, I can try to explain with my hands only. Jordan River comes like this and takes a bend. One part of the Jordan River goes into Sea of Galilee. It goes around. Finally, it comes back and joins the same river down. You understand what I am saying? Jordan River goes inside and finally moves up and comes and joins the same river. And finally, Jordan River ends in Dead Sea. And Dead Sea has mountains on all three sides, therefore, water cannot go anywhere. And every time fresh water comes, it brings salt along with it. So thereby the amount of salt in Dead Sea goes on increasing, water evaporates. Because of the high content of salt, nothing is alive there. This is simple geography. But it taught me a beautiful lesson. Why Sea of Galilee is alive and why Dead Sea is dead? Because Sea of Galilee receives water from Jordan and gives it back. But Dead Sea only receives but does not give back. Therefore, I learned a lesson. Anyone who receives from society and gives it back will be alive. He receives only from society and does not give it back, he will be dead. How geography can teach us such beautiful lessons? That's what Swami Vivekananda mentioned. I call that man, Vivekananda statement. It became more meaning to me after seeing Galilee and Dead Sea. I call that man a traitor who, having been educated at the cost of the society, does not pay any heed to it. That means he receives only but does not give it back. I would request you, give them pride about the country, the joy of giving, most important. Tell the children, there is joy in receiving. I want this, I want this, I want this. There is a joy in receiving. But please remember, please convey to the children and demonstrate it that there is joy in giving, not receiving. I'll close my talk with a beautiful example you will never forget. An example and close it. There is so much joy in giving. Giving does not need money. I am not talking of money at all. There are so many things we can. One smile, can you not give? When I go for walking in the morning, I ask, how are you? Many people say, fine sir, how are you? But there are some people, I don't know what they like actually. They can't smile at all. They look like question mark. The question is, can I not smile now? One smile can change the whole thing. Can you not say some nice things to people? Do not give money. Some time you can give. When people need some time you can give. I learned a beautiful lesson. I was in South Africa. I was in a place called Johannesburg. I had to go to a place called George. I looked at the weather forecast, it was bad. They said thunderstorms and heavy storms are likely in the afternoon. I said, better go early. I started off early and I was 10 kilometers away from the airport. It started raining. You should see the rain in Africa. Something spectacular. You can't see anything beyond 10 feet. It was raining so heavy, as if somebody is pouring a bucket of water. I somehow managed to reach the airport. After that, the wind started, the electric poles twisted, and power went off, nothing. And everybody started coming into the airport with some difficulty. Airport became Kalasi restaurant. There is one big canteen and everything got over in that, no power. How much will UPS support? 6 hours, 8 hours. After 12 o'clock at night, they put candles all over and everybody had to sleep on the floor, crowded, not even water to drink. Next day morning, there was no storm, there was bright sunshine, but the power had come from it. They said we should clear off as many flights as possible. They said, announce, people going to George, fall in line, you all stood in the queue. There was one tall devil of a man standing before me, 6 feet 4 inches, and he could not get water to drink and he drank whatever he had in his cabin. So he could feel. He could feel that he had done something else. He was swaying all over. And there was a girl in the counter, a black girl, who was using very abusive language. You blackie, who will make this? Discharge. You should be suspended from the job. And she said, sir, I am doing my work. There was no computer. She had to write the boarding pass and give it to us. She was doing good job. But this man went on shouting at her. She had tears in her eyes. And some of us went to tell him, why are you shouting? The girl is doing a lot to do. He shouted at us, I said, we can't prepare him. Finally, his turn came, we should visualize it. 6 feet 4 inches man. He went and stood at the counter like this, looking at the girl down below. You idiot, who made you do that? He said, who gave you job? He said, sir, please don't do this. She was writing the boarding. She snatched from her hand. Idiot, you should be dismissed. And went out. I was behind him. What should I do? I said, good morning. I think probably I was the first one who ever said good morning. She said, good morning, sir. I said, you are wonderful. I told her, you are wonderful. The way you are battling against odds and doing jobs, hats off you. You've done a great job. Thank you so much, sir. She got my boarding pass. It was the month of December. She pulled a drawer, took out a big chocolate. Bonus was making nice, and she gave me the chocolate along with the boarding pass. What do I do? She said, Merry Christmas, sir. I had only 2 pence in my pocket. I took out both and gave it to her. Merry Christmas. As I was going, I asked her, did you feel bad? When the man was shouting so much, did you feel bad? How can I not feel bad, sir? With using all expletives, I felt very bad, sir. But then she came close to me and said, but I have taken care, sir. I have taken care. First, what have you taken care? She said, whispered in my ears, this fellow will go to George, but the luggage will go to Cape Town. This fellow will go to George, he will not find his luggage, And all that he had consumed the previous night will come down. I tell you, in South Africa, you can get your body back, not get your back back. See what happens to him. Why is it quiet? Joy of giving. You don't have to give something hard, big one, thing. Just nice words at the right time. Especially people are depressed, ask them. Tell your children to give back to life. There is tremendous joy in giving rather than receiving. I told you about self, about language of the land, my country, and third is there is a joy in giving. If you give them, teach them these four things, their suitcase is full. Wherever they go, they will be successful in life. Thank you so much. Thank you. ನಾನು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ 25 ವರ್ಷ ಇತ್ತು. And I really believe it. ಕನ್ನಡ ಊರು ಭಾಷೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಹೃದಯದ ಭಾಷೆ ಸರ್. ಊರು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೃದಯದ ಭಾಷೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ 6 ವರ್ಷ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹುಡುಗಿಯರಿಗೆ ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ನೀವು ಹಾಗಾಗಬೇಕು ಹೀಗಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕೈ ಕಟ್ಟ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು ತಮಾಷೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ನಗರಕ್ಕೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜ್. ರಾಜಾಜಿನಗರದಿಂದ ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ನಗರ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಮೇನ್ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬಸ್ ಹೋಗೋದು. ಅದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕೆರೆ ಇತ್ತಂತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಮನೆಗೆ 20 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ಗೆ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು. ಆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಏನು ಸರ್ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಂತ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆರೆ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಅನ್ಬಾರ್ದು? ಅದು ಅನ್ಬೋದು, ನಾನು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. 2 ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಂದು, ನಾನು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಕಳಿಸಿ ನಾನೊಂದು 4-5 ಜೊತೆ ಶೂಸ್ ಸಮಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು 15-20 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಹಾಗೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೆ, 4 ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು 1000 ಜನ ದಿನ ಬಂದು ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನು, ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅನ್ನು. ಯಾವುದ್ರಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪು? ಅದೇ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪೇ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 1000 ಜನ, ಸಂಜೆ 1000 ಜನ ಕೆರೆ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಂತ ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಅವನೇ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ ನನ್ನ ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಲಿ. ಇದನ್ನ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವೇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಂಬಡಿ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ದಟ್ ಪವರ್ ಇಸ್ ವಿದಿನ್ ಯು. ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತಂದೆ. ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಭಾರಿ ಭಾಷಣ ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಹುಡುಗರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಮಹೇಶ್ವರ ಅದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡೆ. ಯಾರೂ ಹೆದರಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟಾಲರೇಟ್ ನಾನ್ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಮಿಸ್ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್, ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಸರ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಅಮ್ಮ ನೋಡೋದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ, ನೀನು ಒಬ್ಬಳೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅವ್ನು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಕೇಳು, ಬಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀನು ಕ್ಷಮೆ ಕೇಳೋಕ್ಕಂತ ನಾನು ಬಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಮೈಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ಕೇಳು, ನೀನು ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹುಡುಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀನು ತೊಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಸರ್ ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿ 1 ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿ ಆ ಹಾವೂರು ಸರ್ಕಲ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ ಬಸವೇಶ್ವರ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಫೋನ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಲೈನ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಬಂದು, ಸರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಬರ್ಬೇಕಂತೆ ಸರ್, ಬಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ವ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಹೋದ್ರೆ 106 ಜನ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಸ್ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಸ್ಸಿನ ಮುಂದೆ 8 ಜನ ಹುಡುಗಿಯರು ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಬಂದು ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಸರ್ ಅವ್ನು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಏಯ್ ಬೇಗ ಕಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಅಂದ. ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬರು ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನನಗೆ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಇರಲಿ ಬಿಡಮ್ಮ ನನಗೆ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೋ ನೀನು, ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಳಜಿದ್ರೆ ಕಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ, ಬೇರೆ ಆಟೋದ ಸ್ಕೂಟರ್ಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಒಬ್ಬರು ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಬಸ್ ಒಂದು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಸರ್. ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇನ್ನಿಬ್ಬರು ಹುಡುಗಿಯರು ಬಂದರು ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಮಗೆ ಬೈತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಸರ್. ಆಯ್ತು ಬಿಡಮ್ಮ, ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ನಾನು ಕ್ಷಮೆ ಕೇಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮುಗಿದು ಹೋಗಿರು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಕ್ಷಮೆಗೆ ಮುಗಿಯಲ್ಲ. ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಅಂತ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಇದ್ದರು BMTC BTS ಅಂತಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. BTS ನನ್ನ ಪರಿಚಯ. ಅವ್ರು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಬರಬೇಕು ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಅಂದರೆ. ಬರ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್, ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂದರೆ. ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಸ್ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೋದರು. ಈ ಬಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಿಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಬಂದು ವಿಶ್ವನಾಥ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಷಮೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸಾಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ಷಮೆಗೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವನು ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇರೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅವನ ಕಾರ್ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್. ನೀನೇ ಹಿಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ವಿ, ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಹುಡುಗಿರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೂ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಬಂದರು. ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಆ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಹುಡುಗಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಪ್ಪ ನೀನು ಬಸ್ಸೇ ನಿಲ್ಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. Tell you, is it not empowerment?
Yes.
I did not do anything. I told them you have the power of stopping it. But most of us are scared of doing it because what will others say? What will others say? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು we have to become role model. ನಾವೇ ಮಾದರಿ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಾದರಿ ಆಗೋದು ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕೆಲಸ. ನಾನು ಗಂಟಾಕ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. I was the women empowerment conference ಇತ್ತು ಗಂಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ. I was the only representative from India, a gentleman. ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಹೋದಾಗ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಭಾಳ ಚಂದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬೆಲ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಆಫ್ MIT ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಅವರು ಚಂದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಏನು ಕಟ್ಟೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ 120 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಾವು ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಣಕಾಸು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದೇ ತಾನೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ, ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್. ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ನಾವು ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಆರ್ ಟೋಟ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಐ ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ವಿಮೆನ್ ಅಂತ. ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನೇನು ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಬೈದು, ನಾನೇನು ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಕೇಳಿ ಸಾಹೇಬ್ ಬೈದರು, ಬೈತೇವೆ. ಭಾಳ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಬೈದಲ್ಲ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಬರೋದು ಅಂತ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದರು. ಕಾರ್ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ದಾರಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ₹300 ಫೈನ್ ಹಾಕಿ. ಮೊದಲೇ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಬೈದಿತ್ತು, ದಂಡ ಬೇರೆ, ಕೋಪ ಬಂತು ಸಾಹೇಬರಿಗೆ. ಮನೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದರು, ಗೇಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಹುಚ್ಚಿದಳ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿ, ದನ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕೆಗೆ. ಆಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳ, ಹೌಸ್ ವೈಫ್, ಆಕೆ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಅನ್ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು 4-5 ಹುಡುಗರು ಹೋಗೋದು ಹಾರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ ಬೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಣ್ಣ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾರು ಇವರು ನನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ ಇವರು ಇಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕೆಗೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಏನಾಕೆಗೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಬಂದು ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಬರೋರು ತಿರುಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲೇ ಗಾಳಿ ಹಾರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಏನಿದು ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಾರಿಸಿಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಡೈನಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ ತಟ್ಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ, ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂತಾ ಇದೆ. ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಬಾಜು ತೆಗೆದಿದೆ ಹಾಗೇನೆ. ಏನು ಕೇರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಹೆಂಡತಿ, ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೌಕರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ಹೊಸ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕೆಗೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಬೈ. ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಏನೋ ಸಪ್ಪಳು ಕೆಡಿಸ್ತು. ಬಚ್ಚಿನ ನೋಡೋದು ನೀರು ಹಂಗೆ ಆನ್ ಇದೆ, ನನಗೆ ನೀರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇದೆ. ಅವನಂತ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಅನಾಹುತ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾಳೆ. ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ದ. ಅಟ್ಟದ ಮ್ಯಾಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಆಕೆ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಹಾಸಿಗೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಲು ಚಾಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಾದಂಬರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೋಡಿ ಕೋಪ ಏನು ಬೈಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿತ್ತು, ಫೈನ್ ಹಾಕಿತ್ತು, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಗಲಾಟೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಿನಗೇನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ? ನೋಡಿ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಮನೆ ಅಪ್ಸೈಡ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ತಲೆ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಆಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ದಿನ ಬಂದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಆಫೀಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಏನೂ ನಷ್ಟ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಇವಾಗ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಬದುಕಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ರಿಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್, ರಿಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ದ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್. ಆಯ್ತದ, ನಾನು ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ವಿಮೆನ್. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಬೆಳೆದು ಬಿಡಿಗಿರಿ, ಯಾರು ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಂಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಜೀವ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ನಂಬ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೋದು ಯಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೊಸಬ್ರು. ಆ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮ ಹಂಚ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರ ಸ್ವಭಾವ ಹೊಂದ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ತಾನು ಮೊದಲು ತವ್ರ ಮನೆ ಎಳೀತದೆ, ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ 4-5 ವರ್ಷ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಅದೇ ಅಪ್ಪ ಬಂದು ಬಾರೋ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬೂದಿ ಬಾರೋ, ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಕೆಲಸ ಭಾಳ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಮೋಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್? ಇಮೋಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಪೂರ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತಲ್ಲ ಜೀವ, ತನ್ನ ಮನೆ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಗೃಹಿಣಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಬರೀ ಮನೆ ಹಾಕ್ಯಾರ, ಗೃಹಿಣಿ ಗೃಹ ಉಚ್ಯತೆ ಅಂತ. ಗೃಹಿಣಿಯಿಂದಾನೇ ಮನೆ ಉಳಿಯೋದು ಅಂತ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಒನ್ ವುಮನ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್, ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಈಸ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಕೆಗೆ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ಅಮ್ಮ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀಮ್ಮ, ರಿಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ದ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು ದ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಇನಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಂಪವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್.